Hey guys, introspection here. So today I have a fairly normal video to...
What the fuck? Gotta put a fire out! Let's go, 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 go! Ah! What's happening?
There was a report saying a fire was about to break out here.
What are you talking about?
Somebody on social media posted that the studio is lit.
Ew. Yeah, that might have been my bad. In hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have DM'd that post to the firefighters' Instagram page. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Got a little hectic there, but it actually works for the theme of this video. Today I wanted to tell you about the different kinds of fire extinguishers. And yes, you heard me right. There are more than one kind of fire extinguisher. Now, I know, I can already see your face of confusion and a little bit of surprise. It's okay, I was pretty confused and surprised as well. In fact, I think most people probably don't know this unless you are, a firefighter or a safety inspector or something along those lines. But that's very dangerous because if you don't know what kind of fire extinguisher you need, you may actually end up making the fire worse, which for obvious reasons you probably don't want. So, if you want to avoid cooking yourself alive, I suggest you stay for the rest of this video. But before I go over the different kinds of fire extinguishers, it's probably best I go over the different kinds of fires first. After all, you won't know what kind of fire extinguisher to use if you don't know what kind of fire you're dealing with. Now, it seems that each country has a different system of classifying fires. All the definitions are the same, they just have different names for each kind of fire. So instead of going through all of the different classification systems, I'm just going to tell you what each kind of fire is. After that, it should be relatively easy for you to Google what kind of classification system your country uses. I'll start off with the simplest kinds of fire. Your freely burning combustible solid materials fire. Stuff like wood and paper, it's probably what you're most familiar with and what you've probably used most often to start a fire in the past. Hopefully, in a safe manner. After that, you have your flammable liquids, stuff like gas and oil. After that, you have your energized fires. That's just when you start a fire with electricity. That one tends to be a lot more dangerous, depending on the situation. After that, metallic fires. I had to learn this one, but apparently metal can light on fire, and these are particularly hard to deal with. After that are your cooking fires, stuff like vegetable oil or animal fats. Those are your main different kinds of fires. And as you can imagine, there's different ways of dealing with these kinds of fires. So for instance, if I were to ask you what should I use to put out a fire, most people would probably say water, which makes a lot of sense. We usually use that to put out fires. Now, of course, it will work on quite a few fires. Anything that's burning with wood or paper, that'll probably work. But you really should not use it for, say, an electrical fire. You will not only probably end up shocking yourself, but odds are it's really not going to do anything to actually put out the fire, because it won't affect the thing that's actually fueling the fire, which is electricity. So you have to be very careful on how you deal with all these fires, because like I just demonstrated, but you might end up making it even worse. Luckily, it is very easy to figure out what kind of fire extinguisher you have. If you look at the label on the fire extinguisher, it'll usually tell you not just what kind of fire extinguisher it is based on your country's classification system, but it'll also have handy illustrations telling you what kind of fires it's meant to deal with. Now, with that said, it's still very important you know the different kinds of fire extinguishers for a couple of reasons. First of all, you still actually need to purchase the fire extinguisher, so you want to make sure you get the one that's best suited for wherever you're keeping it. Secondly, you don't always have time to read in the middle of a fire. So, let's see if we can't figure out what kind of fire extinguisher you actually need to keep yourself alive. The first kind is the powder fire extinguisher. This uses a non-conductive powder substance, which makes it great for electric fires, as well as paper/wood fires. It also works great with liquid fires, such as fires started by gasoline. After that, you have your carbon dioxide fire extinguishers. Now, before I continue on with this one, I had this idea in my head too, but blowing on the fire will not work, generally speaking. The reason for this is that It's true that people exhale carbon dioxide, but we don't exhale pure carbon dioxide. Our lungs just don't absorb every single particle of oxygen. Ultimately, some of the oxygen we intake also gets exhaled. This is why CPR works. So, blowing on the fire, even though yes, your breath will contain carbon dioxide, will probably make it worse because it will also contain oxygen. Luckily, fire extinguishers that use carbon dioxide don't have this problem, so they work very well on liquid fires, such as fires started by gasoline. After that, we have our wet chemical fire extinguishers. They use a combination of potassium and other chemicals to put out fires that traditionally start in the kitchen. Fires started by things like vegetable oil or fat that comes from whatever meat you're cooking. Next up, we have the water mist extinguisher. This guy uses small, specialized water particles to attack fires in a variety of ways, making it effective on almost every fire, to include, surprisingly enough, electrical fires. In fact, it seems like the only fire this thing doesn't work on are metallic fires, so it's a rather diverse fire extinguisher. Then there's the foam fire extinguisher, which essentially uses foam to suffocate the fire. This one works particularly well on liquid fires. And then last but not least, we have the clean agent fire extinguisher. As the name implies, they're the cleanest of all the fire extinguishers, so very little to clean up afterwards, and they essentially work by converting liquid into gas and displacing the oxygen, essentially, again, suffocating the fire. This particular fire extinguisher works best with flammable liquids and electrical fires. So, now that we've gone over all the basic fire extinguishers, the question still remains, which one should you get to keep your buns from getting just a little bit too toasty? Well, there are two main things you want to consider. First, where are you going to put it? And second, what's most likely to happen in the area you're putting it in? For instance, let's say you put it in a kitchen. You want to make sure it can handle fires that commonly happen in a kitchen, such as fires caused by vegetable oil and fat. Or, let's say you want to put one in the garage or car. You're obviously going to need one that can handle fires caused by things like gasoline. So, point being, again, you want to make sure that whatever fire extinguisher you get can handle the most likely fire that's going to happen. And you can see why it's so important for you to know which kind of fire extinguisher you have, because if you use the wrong fire extinguisher, you can burn your face off. And I'm going to assume, like me, you like having your face where it's supposed to be. And with that, the conclusion to my video has arrived. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe button. If you have any more fire safety information I should know about, or just want to say hi, make sure to leave it in the comment section down below. And thank you very much to the Gaming Decorator for providing the background footage you've seen in this video. If you want to check out his channel, I'll leave it in the description below. And with that, oh hey, what are you doing back?
Sorry to interrupt again. We just thought we left one of our really cool axes behind. There it is. Oh, hey, you making some sort of video?
Yeah, you want to help?
Sure.
Alright, go ahead and read this.
I can do that. Well, that's it for today. Until next time, hear nothing and listen to all. Bye, guys.